Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tao of the Day. This is Martin John, and I'd like to keep up Tao of the Day today for maybe an hour or so. See if I can get everybody give everybody an opportunity to come on and to check it out. What is Tao of the Day, you may ask? I mean, I don't know if I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna try. We'll see. It's not always. It's not. It's not. It's not my intention to just keep talking. And if you want to come up, if one time I made an artwork, and the artwork lasted. It was shown for a day, and that was it. It was only shown for a day, and then it was gone. And I like this idea that like things exist and affect the world, but don't ever have to be seen or experienced. Me doing Tao of the Day every day, coming on here, asking you for a number between 1 and 81. That's my contribution. I'm just doing it. I don't even, like, I love doing it. And I look forward to doing it every day. And there are days I don't do it, and that's okay too. Sometimes I come on and no one wants to come up and pick a number. That's okay. I read one, I move on. I go on with my life. I don't think about it too much. So if you have a number between 1 and 81 you want to select, please come up and pick a number. What are you picking a number for? If you don't know what Tao of the Day is, this is all about the Tao Te Ching. And the Tao Te Ching revolves around 81 verses about how to live a more reasonable life. Thing is we all live a little unreasonably here and there. We all want things to be different, right? We want things to change. We want people to change. We want to change. We want change, change, change. Well, change is happening whether you like it or not. And sometimes not trying to change creates the most change that can happen. Not going out of your way to change shit sometimes just allows things to change. Now, that doesn't mean you purposefully stay the same. See, that's the thing. I think a lot of people are always purposefully staying the same or trying to change. And if you're purposefully staying the same, if you're saying, I saw something the other day, it was just like, I'm going to keep myself healthy enough so I can always drink. And it was this thing on Instagram or whatever. Now I'm sober, and that's fine that this person wants to always drink. But what I'm hearing is that, how can you say today that tomorrow this is something you're going to want to be? The moment you say and express it to somebody, I am this, then you get yourself into this weird quagmire of having to be that and thinking that that's who you are. But it's not. It's not who you are at all. It's not who you are. You aren't anything. You aren't anyone. Right. And that's the great thing. And that's what living a reasonable life is all about. It's about being reasonable, saying, like, you know what? I'm not going to hold on to any identity, because my identity isn't who I am. I am so much more than that. I am so much more than my identity. But the only way that I could achieve that is by surrendering to who I am, and not solidifying or cementing myself, or sticking my flag in the ground of some identity that I think I am. And that's what the Tao does. Now, Tao of the Day, I come on and ask you for a number between 1 and 81. I'll read that verse to you. It's kind of like picking a tarot card. I mean, I suppose if you wanted to put it on some, if you wanted to call it something, or say, oh, it's like this, well, then that's kind of what it's like. And you get to pick this number, and then we read the number. I read it through, and you get to tell me about what you think about it. Maybe start relating it to something in your life, and then we go through it line by line and break apart how you might be able to live in this moment a bit more reasonably. And that's what I come on here to do with Tao of the Day. So I ask you to pick a number between 1 and 81. If nobody wants to come up, I'll definitely pick a number, because I love getting a Tao for the day. And that gives me a little something to just think about, a little something to meditate on throughout the day. Um, as I go through, so I wrote this rendition of the Tao Te Ching, and I'm writing notes to go along with this rendition, and I didn't yet write notes for number 27, so I'm going to go ahead and pick number 27. We'll look at it, break it apart. And I don't know why I didn't write notes for 27. 27 is a classic, is a classic reference point in the Tao, about living. And so here we go. I'm going to read the mystery of the process, number 27 of the Tao Te Ching. Although a good traveler may have plans, they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. Although a good artist creates, the creations are arrived at through intuition. Although a good scientist observes, it is done for the first time, every time. By embodying these strategies, the master accepts everyone and makes use of every situation. Nothing is wasted, and every moment is imbued with light. What is the good, if not a vision for the bad? What is the bad, if not a lesson for the good? Accept this completely, or you will suffer in all that you do. It is the great secret. So, this is entitled The Mystery of the Process. And for me, this is stating, like, if you're going to do something, right? If you're going to do something like live your life, if you're going to live a life, you are going to come across different ways of doing whatever it is you do. Now, there are good ways of doing things, according to this quote unquote good ways of doing things. And that is by keeping your mind open to what is, for you to be present in this moment. And then later on, it talks about like the bad is a lesson for the good. Right? In order for you to know the difference of what you want to achieve, you have to have the experience of both, right? You want to, oh, I'm doing something and that is holding me back. And so I want to release myself from that identity. I want to release myself from that thing. And I am going to allow myself to have learned from this experience. If you get angry at somebody, well, are you going to go back and not ask them to change anything that they're doing, but go back to you and say, why did I get angry? Why was the experience I had anger? Okay, so I'm going to start going through this. And the first section has this triplet of good individuals, right? Like, and these are the good traveler, the good artist, the good scientist. Now, I want you guys to be able to break that up into the three parts of you, right? You traverse life, both time and space. You create both life, ideas, things, right? And you are a good scientist because you're constantly observing and making assumptions, right? So these are the three parts of each and every one of us. And we have different, maybe some of us are more creative than others, maybe some of us travel more than others, in different ways. Maybe some of us are more scientific than others. But either way, these are three traits of a person. So, although a good traveler may have plans, they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. Now, I wrote that, and when I wrote that, it was really clear to me that it's like I want to make sure that it gets across, but it's also sort of subtle. And so, a good traveler may have plans. The thing is it's not about not having plans. I think a lot of times when people read this verse, when people look at this verse from other translations, they get caught in this idea like you don't have plans. You live your life and you are free to live your life anyway. This idea of the spiritual, I'm just gonna flow and go with the flow and da. No, bitch, like it don't work that way. Like you may have plans. You can be a good traveler and have plans. The problem is those plans are not rigid and nor is the outcome. And that's the difference between a good traveler and us, right? We have plans. And when we have plans, we have the idea of where it's taking us. We have the idea of what is the outcome here. We know what we want from these plans. And we may stick to the plan, right? Like your parents put you in school so you can get a good job, so you go to school, and then you go to high school, and you this is your plan is go to school to get a good job. So then you go to college, and then you go and get your terminal degree, and then at the end there's no job. Why is there no job? But you did all of this stuff. Now you're miserable, and you have to go be a barista somewhere just to make ends meet, and that keeps you unhappy. You're unhappy because you had an outcome to your plan. A good traveler just says, "Fuck it. I'm gonna go to school, and because that's where I want to go, and that's gonna be part of my traveling. I'm gonna travel to school, and I'm going to have these experiences. But I'm not going to be wed to the outcome. I'm not going to be wed to the way it's supposed to go. They're not rigid. So maybe your school ends up being a trade school. Maybe your school ends up being something else, right? Like it's not about it being rigid, because a good traveler, although they may have plans, they're not rigid, nor is the outcome. That's the first line of 27. And that's what we're setting ourselves up for, right? Like okay, well, wow. Like a traveler can have plans, but they don't have an outcome. Kind of like, well, what are the plans for then? Well, it's what you like, right? What do you like? Although a good artist creates, the creation is arrived at through intuition. I have a friend of mine right now who's learning, who's applying her trade to painting, and she is traditionally a sculptor. And here, you know, although a good artist creates, the creation is arrived at through intuition. She created her first two paintings through intuition. Now she is letting go of intuition and replicating. Right? She's like, those were good. I'm going to stick to that because she believes that is it is the way that she is going to be most intuitive, is by replicating. But her mode is very design oriented. It's very she wants to control things, and so it's not through intuition, but it is through repetition or replication that she is actually moving forward. And so, you know, is she intuitively going to go about this? She did it the first time. Now she is utilizing the things that she did in the first to replicate. And I've warned her that she might not get get the results, get to a place where she likes the results as much as she liked the initial results, because now she is trying to replicate. She is no longer creating through intuition, and that comes because of a fear of failure. Right? We start to replicate things because we're afraid to fail. We don't want to fail at things, right? But you can't fail, right? Like failure is just an idea that we've created. So although a good artist creates, the creation is arrived at through intuition. When you don't trust yourself, when you don't trust your intuition, when you don't trust where you're going or your plans in general, like you're afraid of traveling, you're afraid of creating, you're afraid of doing these things because you're afraid of failing, you're afraid of winding up in the wrong place. So for those of you who have joined me, I'm reading number 27 of the Tao Te Ching. If you have a number between 1 and 81 you want to select, please step up and I'll take your number and we'll talk about that. I can always come back to 27. 27 is my Tao for the day. And someone's coming up. Oh, Dr. Rao is coming up. Thank you so much, Dr. Rao.
Martin,
Good morning. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I feel great.
Good. So I got up and I did my yoga
You
yesterday.
did, yeah. The yoga was good. How did Sonia show up?
China did not show up, but
Oh, okay.
other people showed up. So, uh,
Well, I really appreciated it. It was a really nice break from my usual morning yesterday, and I really it was a wonderful, doing it with other people is really nice because it's like it keeps me a little more, probably, because in my routine, although I have a routine, it's different than that. And so like taking myself out of any routine is really nice to be more present.
Yeah. I was hoping that you would grasp what I'm trying to do and tell other people too. If they wish to join us, that's fine. Okay. That's okay. You know what you are reading today, Martin? The 27th one? I was
Yeah.
listening to that. And there's something about where is the divine fits in this. Look at from that perspective.
Where does the divine fit?
Yeah.
Yeah, as I look at this, when I look at, although a good traveler may have plans, they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. Although a good artist creates, he creates through intuition. Although a good scientist observes, it is done for the first time every time. As I look at that, as I look at that first section, and I think about, well, where is the divine in this? Well, the divine is guiding, right? The divine is the one that is speaking through intuition. The guide, the divine is leading the scientist to look or to observe the things that he or she is going to that is going to allow that scientist to open to the divine. And although a good traveler may have plans, those plans are not held too rigidly, nor is the outcome, because when we leave room for inspiration, when we leave room for the divine in our plans, in our creativity, and in our observations, then we get to not observe the divine as much as just surrender to what is, and that is divine, as are we.
Look at this way, you know. Uh, you say guiding your plan, right?
Well, did I say that? I don't know. But go on. Yeah.
And then you said that guiding my our plan, you know. Is that guiding or is it determining the plan? Diva-
So like like I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Although the good traveler may have plans, they are not rigid, nor is the outcome. So the idea is like we, as our bodies and minds, don't.
Okay, listen carefully what I'm going to say.
Yeah, please.
I'm going to say ancient versus modern, okay? And wherever it fits, that's up to each person or each culture, each civilization, West as a whole, East as a whole, right? See, what seemed to me was the East said at the time that it's all divine plan and you are going through it by the direction of the divine.
Yes.
You may select something with your, uh, superficial mind, but the
Yep.
right that is determined by the divine. Okay,
Mhm.
says we're going to create our life, we're going to make plans, and then we will go towards the destination. When it doesn't happen, I'm going to really get upset and all that. Or I'm going to surrender to that, but not really knowing from the beginning the divine plan will take me. So this
Right.
is a major, major shift between the um, ancient cultures and the modern cultures. What happens is when you say this is all divine will, there itself is there is a surrender, right?
Right. Yeah.
Then it becomes so much easier if the destination is different. That is also divine will.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like that's why that this is in this text. Like that's exactly why like the plans aren't rigid, nor is the outcome, and the creation is arrived at through intuition. Because it's like if you have, and I was talking about my friend who is looking to replicate.
Yeah, yeah.
She created something, and now in order for her to feel comfortable, she is going to replicate. Now,
That is the whole religion too. Because
absolutely.
people who wrote the truth, who experienced the truth, they wrote it, but then everybody else like replicating it. That's the problem, right? That's the
Well,
same.
I don't know. It's a problem because like her replicating is going to get her closer to
Huh?
her own instinct because that is a divine plan.
No, no. When she said she was intuitive, that was the truth.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Then replicating it, see what it is the modern civilization kind of figured out some external society, external things, external,
Right,
and
shortcuts, right?
not only that, the aim is this. The aim is that proper producing replication of the paintings rather than staying just in the intuitive mode.
Yes.
So what it is you be intuitive all the time is something possible. But then we corrupt that with external achievements and all that.
And
And
measurement.
yeah, and that also biggest thing is that is the ego.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, one teaching is just to transcend the ego by really seeing the divine everything, everywhere, and then listening to the divine plan that is available to you through intuition. Then stick with that. But don't use that intuitive creativity to make replicas, to make external life or things, and thinking they will give you the peace and happiness.
Hmm.
It's a very big deal with this 27, what he said there.
Yes, yes.
So what I am saying is, it's all divine will.
It is all. Yeah, even the replicating is divine
Uh,
will.
no, no, replicating is okay, you fell out of that. See what?
Well, but I mean, you fell out of it to have that experience so that like I think that divine will is pulling you closer. Now you are trying to
No,
do
no.
something.
You are
No,
in the divine will. If you are, that's the difference. If you are in the divine will, you don't have to crave for the replication.
I
You,
agree. I agree. You don't have to care for it.
yeah, you don't have to step out of the divine thing. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
the more you surrender, the more you know this is all divine will.
Right.
The more you are relaxed,
Hmm.
the more you are in the creative mode. But then this the Western concept of I'll make something out of it and then I'll use it to go to the divine. That's defeating the purpose.
Yes.
You are there already. Why you do have to get out of it? That's the thing.
That's right. That's right. That's
Then what a remarkable thing that would be when you say there is no me as ego. There is no me doing as an ego. I am already there in the divine. I merge with it. That's it.
yeah.
Why do you have to get out of it and again make something out of it and say, I'm coming back to the divine? No, you're already there. You just don't step out of that.
That's right. And that's what, like as this continues on, we have this every moment is imbued with light. By
Yeah,
embodying by embodying these strategies, the master accepts everyone and makes use of every situation.
yeah.
Nothing is wasted, and every moment is imbued with light.
This is the trickery. The Western mind first comes to the ego and then goes everything to this. But the Eastern way, they don't even have that.
Right.
At one time, I'm not saying now, at one time.
At one time. Yeah, now everything's Western.
Yeah. So stepping back to that is actually I try to lots of time try to be just silent. Don't talk about these things at all because I don't need to.
Right, right, right. They
We,
don't need you.
we don't to. But then
The divine doesn't need us.
no, not the divine. What I'm saying is I don't need to talk about these things
Right. Yeah.
because you're so. But then you come out because when you see this rampant invasion of the ego and everything, even the people so-called spiritual, they are doing this without knowing.
Oh, they don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it becomes a problem. So you got to able to see. That's why they call this. these all these branches of them, they come darshanas, revealing things. They are like darshana means that you can see yourself in the mirror, like, right. So all these ways of whatever country it is, that is called darshanas. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, what happens is people are so clouded by their own um, looking through the eyes of the ego rather than the divine that is there in them. And that is shut off when the ego is active. And
Yeah.
every justification comes back to that. So you are not going anywhere.
No.
You're just staying in that thing, and then you're miserable also. But this divine thing is something, it was very. There was one friend of mine, he's an actor, right? Ashish Vijay, he used to get hundreds and thousands of people on the clubhouse.
Yeah.
But I used to go there, and they used to put me on a pedestal, tell me everything. I never fall for that, but they were doing that. But
Well, that's beautiful. Yeah.
they built themselves in their own way. I did not.
Yeah, they love it. They love
Uh,
it.
but then they built an image about themselves. So then there's this question, this came. They are pumping everybody. Oh, your life is in your hand. You build it up. You do it. All that thing, right?
Yeah.
They about it. Then they said, "Oh, I'm more like a resident philosopher." They gave me a name. I never said that I am. I said
Yeah.
a lot of things. I know what I don't know. I know very little. I tell them. Then I said, "Well, this thing about fate versus free will, right? That age-old discussion, right? Everybody gets into that. So I told them there's a famous saying by Ramana Maharshi when he goes away from his home, kind of gives up the world, right? And then he stays true to the truth and then doesn't want anything from anybody, right? But his mom, he goes off of the home at the age of 17, I think. So a couple of years later, she comes to know he's in this particular town, and he's a holy man, and everybody is worshiping him, but he doesn't care about all that. He just remains silent. So she comes to the town, and then she sees him, and then she cries, and then she wants him to come back home. And she says, "You can come and do meditation, all those things at home. There's no problem." But she doesn't understand that he already severed all sorts of ties with the materialistic world, right? So then he says something very famous. He said, "Whatever has to happen will happen. How much you try to prevent it.
Yeah.
Whatever will not happen how much you try for it.
That's right.
That means there's nothing in your hands, all destiny, like, kind of, okay. But that doesn't mean that you just say give up and do that. But then you are given intuitive messages about what your real role is, why you are. Once they say, that is one thing. Once this, what is the consciousness we call, grabs hold of you, will not let you go from the real purpose you have. That's
Yeah.
like punishment. That's like kind of a grace. Like,
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
that's the thing, right?
I
So
remember, like what comes to mind is that
no, no, when
movie.
I told them this to the crowd there, they all thought I dashed their capacity to build themselves, build self-efficacious, achieve things, and all of that.
Yeah.
None of the kind. But what it is like you said, somebody goes to school, gets the job, and then they're not happy with the job, and they want to go somewhere.
Yeah. You
Divine,
know,
divine. Remember that.
it reminds me of that movie that you asked me to watch, and the boy that there was the town with the rogue lion, and he or tiger, and he was sleeping outside, and he slept outside, and the the people in the monastery or whatever were like, you stay in here. And he asked them, well, do people die inside of your walls? Do you can you keep death out of your walls. And he said, no, but we can protect you from the tiger. And he was just like, well, then I'll stay out here because, if death can enter, then I'm not afraid of this moment, right? I'm not afraid of that. Like, what will happen will happen. And there's nothing that you can, this is like, as we're talking about in this 27, although a good traveler may have plans, I have plans to do something with my life. Like, let them go, surrender. Don't let those plans be too rigid. Don't let that outcome like get in your way get in the way of you being you, of you following the plan of the divine. And if you guys are interested, Dr. Rao does have a 6 a.m. yoga, 6 a.m. Central. So 7 a.m. if you're in Eastern time, 5 a.m. in Mountain, and 4 a.m. Out in California. And if you join, he will do, it's like an hour of just like morning mindful movement and other sorts of breathing exercises, and he offers quite a bit. And Dr. Rao, if you are still listening, please send me any content, to links and other things like that. I mean, I can send out the link that you sent me, um, but I don't know if you just want that out publicly open. I don't know, or if you just want me to send them to you. So please let me know, and I will happily send people your way, because I do think what you're doing is great. And like, I think that like your work, and you, like, I've learned a lot from you, and I really appreciate your um, you're just being here, and always coming on and being a good friend to me, and my journey. So the mystery of the process, and we have to look at the title here and recognize that the process of living is a mystery to us. It's not a mystery to the divine, but it is a mystery to us. And so surrendering to that mystery is a big part of what our life is kind of here to be, right? Although a good traveler may have plans, this is the Western model, right? We have plans, we got ideas. They are not rigid, nor is the outcome. We let go of the idea that we have an outcome for this. We let go of, the rigidity of how it's supposed to work and what we're supposed to be doing. And if you go traveling and you have an itinerary, and you stick to that itinerary, and things work or they don't work or whatever, like, you get caught up in your mind. But that's not you, right? There's mystery in this. Imagine if you woke up every day and recognized that today was a mystery. And even though you had plans, like I have plans to do Tao of the day. I have a meeting at 11 and I got a meeting at noon. So I got plans. Now, what are the outcomes of those? I don't know. I do have preconceived outcomes that I want, right? They're deep inside of me. And I really want to be able to let go of those outcomes. Right? I can say I don't have an outcome for those things, but really, when I think about it, I do. I want people to think I'm good at what I do. I want people to think that I have something worth saying. I want, and that's me getting stuck in my mind. But when I can let go and surrender to, hey, I'm just doing this, everything becomes a little easier. So, although a good artist creates, a creation is arrived at through intuition. And this is me creating something, and I have to be able to arrive at this through intuition. And I'm more or less. I think I do that at times, right? I come up with a number that I wanna read just while I'm doing it, and I ask people to come up, and we'll see what direction this goes. Although a good scientist observes, it's done for the first time every time. This is all about, like, don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions for what you're about to see or what you're about to experience. And when that's possible, we can be more present in this moment. By embodying these strategies, the master accepts everyone and makes use of every situation. Nothing is wasted, and every moment is imbued with light. Every moment is imbued with light. I don't have to be anything special. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to go out of my way to make anything work or not work or whatever. I can just allow it to be. And that is the light that's coming from me. Now, we come to this end, and this is where we talk about the great secret. What is the good if not a vision for the bad? What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? Now, when we utilize these words good and bad, we have to recognize that we referenced them already, right? Although a good traveler may have plans, they aren't rigid or nor is the outcome. Although a good artist creates, although a good scientist observes, like so we've already addressed what the good is. What is the good if not a vision for the bad? Although a good artist creates, the creation is arrived at through intuition. when you when my friend is going to go out and try and replicate, she's going to recognize that the intuition that led her to making the initial work is going to be coming from a different place than her actual the initial work that she created from the intuition. So that is going to be a vision, right? The good is a vision for the bad. The bad, quote unquote, is the one that has outcomes, the one that is rigid, the one that whose plans are rigid. So if I talk about my friend who is creating, she's going to create, it might become difficult, or it might become contrived, or it might become something less than what she wants it to be. Let's utilize that less as the term bad. What is the good? The good is the thing that she experienced first, which was led by intuition, not a vision. What is the good if not a vision for the bad? The bad is her response in trying to replicate. What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? So she has this bad experience. This is what I was talking about with Dr. Rao, and the idea that, like, you not being aligned, you not being quote unquote aligned with your spiritual side, or your whole self. That's not a bad thing, but you learn from that perspective. So that is, like, even though you're stepping in, the spirit knows you're going to step in. Spirit knows that you're not spirit knows that you're being rigid, and then you feel sad. Now, are you going to learn from that experience? So if my friend does replicate, maybe she's going to be successful at it, I don't know, but it does replicate and isn't happy with what she's replicating, with her replication. That's the thing. Like, what is the bad if not a lesson for the good? She starts looking at the whole. She starts to recognize that, oh, I gotta let go. I gotta let go. I gotta let go of my need to replicate, and I gotta just allow intuition to step in. Just allow intuition to step in. That's the lesson for the good. And then we start moving in a direction, and you go back and forth. It's good. It's bad. It's good. It's bad. It's good. It's bad. It's good. It's bad. There's no end. And when you can accept this completely, now, accept this completely or you will suffer in all that you do. And that's the thing. My friend may go, and I do have someone in the queue, and I'll bring them up shortly. I just want to finish this last sentence or so. Accept this completely or you will suffer in all you do. Why? Because, oh, I wanted to make something good and I didn't. I wanted to make something attractive and I didn't. I had plans that I was rigid on. I had plans and I was attached to the outcome. And now I'm unhappy. That is the great secret. You have to be able to accept these ideas. You have to be able to open these up. And in that way, you will be much more able to be you, much more able to be open. Kelly.
Hey,
Hey,
being you is my favorite thing to be. So, myself,
what's that?
but so, me being me is my favorite thing to be.
Yeah, it's the only thing you can be. And every time we try to not be me, whoever me is at the moment, it's just so hard. This is so hard.
It is, and you can tell, but you don't see it right in the moment. You're like,
No.
everything sucks, and I'm gonna, whatever, everything's horrible, and then it's like, oh, because I'm so out of alignment. I was ignoring
Yeah.
myself. Yeah.
I did that. I did that for years and years and years, and probably still do in places, but we try and keep that in check.
Well, it gives us appreciation for the when we bring it back around, right? I think.
Yeah. And that's the, that's what this is saying. What is the good if not a vision for the bad? You have a good thing, and then you give it up for something, and then you experience this bad, quote unquote, thing. And then that bad thing that you experience moves you closer to good, moves you
Yes,
closer to you.
like a spiral. Yes.
Okay,
Good.
so
Oh, go ahead.
how are you, my dear?
Good. I'm driving, so let me know if you can't hear me. I'll try to use that diaphragm that I kind of neglect. Um, um, to go to do some like vendor booths for my friend's little their company, and
Oh, is this the company that you worked for before?
yeah, the cannabis company. It's like local
Oh,
here in
okay.
Phoenix. Yeah, I just talk about it, and because they're a small company and it's natural and good. Like they don't put, it's not garbage. It's still a plant. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Um,
let me just say I love you and all that you do.
thank you, thank you.
Okay.
Uh, but it's traffic, and I'm always late, and so I'm like, I need to get myself distracted so I don't get mad at this traffic, and then here we
Okay,
are.
yeah. Let's yeah, like here we are. Let's
Yeah.
let's let's get you to where you're going. You got a number?
I need to think of it. 23.
23. Okay, 23, and this is what you're going to do today. Speaking from Tao, because you're going to be doing all of this kind of stuff. So, you're going to be speaking to people at a convention or whatever, right?
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. Speaking from Tao. When you speak, say what is to be said, but no more, Kelly. Neither wind nor storms last all day. Nature expresses itself completely, no matter how wild it may get. Then it returns to stillness. When you open yourself to Tao, you say what is to be said. Everyone will agree because when you speak from Tao, only Tao can be heard. He who aligns with Tao will only hear Tao. He who aligns with manifestation, they will only hear manifestation. He who aligns with failure will only hear failure. How it is heard is not your concern. Trust what is to be said, and everything will fall into place.
It's yeah. You know how it's the not being attached to how it lands. It's really hard to teach my kids these things, and I think partially you just I need to example them more, which is not. I don't know. You just do what you do, but it's such a hard concept to because like Monet is going through a lot of negativity right now, and I did the same thing in fourth grade actually, but where everything is she's always looking at the negative. She's running out of time all the time, which is a thing I've been saying for years. So now I'm like, okay, it's biting me in the butt, and and
you are
just
like
but
I
she's
want to
and
say
it gets.
that you go on.
Oh no, I want to hear it. Go ahead.
You are the like time and you are like mortal enemy.
Yes, we're one day best. To go off topic slightly, we have to talk about that. I don't know if you've talked to Lacasse recently, but there's something in the works, and he keeps saying, "Talk to Garcia," and he calls you Garcia as well now. And so,
Oh, good,
yeah,
good.
I love it. I'm like, oh, cool. Um,
Yeah, no, get let's get a Zoom call together.
yeah, because there's a thing, Martin John, and he keeps
There's
saying,
always a thing.
you got to pull Mark Garcia in on this one. So,
Yeah. I'm like I'm currently supporting many things, and there's always room for more. Um, yeah. So, I'm always open and surrendering to what is. So if there is something, I am open to surrender to it.
nice, thank you. And
Yeah,
not, yeah,
absolutely.
and, I got off our Dow here for a second, but I wanted to put that out there. So
Yeah,
thank you. Um, just really though, what you look at. It's if you were looking for red lights, you see only red lights as an easy example, or red cars or whatever. It's hard to get out of that, like I think, flow sometimes, and it can
You muted. My guess is you had a call.
Yeah, I'm gonna quiet my phone. There we go. Good.
Okay. Okay.
So
Yeah, like, so here's the thing. What we start with in this verse is, when you speak, say what is to be said, but no more. And that means say what is to be said in this moment. And like when you said, like when you look for something, that's a like you're pre-packaged to look for something. Like if you're looking for red lights, or if you're if you know what you're going to say, if you know what you're going to experience, if you walk into an experience with a preconceived idea, then you're not saying what is to be said, you're saying what you thought should be said.
yes, yes.
You know, and as this continues, neither wind nor storms last all day. Nature expresses itself completely, but it expresses itself completely in this moment. It doesn't say, oh, well, it's going to be windy tomorrow, so today I'm going to start. No, I'm going to be calm today, and it's going to be sunny today. And then when it's time for wind is going to come. Now we have all of these measurements and ways of predicting the future so that we can feel more comfortable, but none of those allow us to be here present right now as we are.
It's
And that
true.
is where stillness is, right? So no matter how wild it may get, it then returns to stillness. And that's nature. Nature returns to stillness. And in its stillness, it's not predicting what's going to come, it is just still. When you open yourself to Tao, you say what is to be said in this moment. Everyone will agree, because when you speak from Tao, only Tao can be heard, because you are speaking from something deeper. You're not predicting what you're going to say. You're not trying, like, you may have a script, just like I was reading 27. You may have a plan of what you want to say, but to the you can't be attached to that plan rigidly, and you can't be attached to the outcome,
It,
because if
it,
you are, you go on.
it, well, you're not speaking from your heart then. You're speaking from
Right.
your mind. Yeah.
Right. You're not speaking from Tao. You're not allowing Tao to come in and inspire you to say something. You are just replicating, as we were talking about earlier. You're just replicating something that you were told you're supposed to do. So you're not speaking from Tao. You're speaking from Kelly. And trust me, Kelly, although no matter how great she is, she's just not as great as Tao,
That's true.
because Kelly gets in her own way.
I wouldn't be here if I was.
That's right.
And um,
and being
oh no,
you
go
is
ahead.
great, as we expressed earlier.
Yeah. It even. I mean, I don't like to be falling down, but scrape your knees up and whatever. But I do appreciate that I can get up and that like somebody might help me stand up or vice versa. Like those moments of just being present and connecting with each other. And I think, stillness is a word that I stumbled over for like here and there. I get hung up on it sometimes. But nature is the best way to describe it. If you find yourself just outside sometime in a park or in the forest or by the water, whatever you do, like you find yourself not thinking for just a minute. You're wondering at an animal or the clouds or a plant or something. Like that's stillness, and nature is just the best example of that because it really can pull you right to like the now moment.
And as we kind of continue reading through this, and to that point, he who aligns with Tao will only hear or see or experience Tao. He who aligns with manifestation will only hear or see or experience manifestation. He who aligns with failure will only hear or see or experience failure. So everything that you experience is coming from what you align with. So
Yeah.
when you align with Tao, everything is Tao. When you align with, now, like one of the things that we had mentioned is your struggle with time. When we start looking at things like that, well, where is the alignment happening? That that this struggle exists, or where does, like running late or all of this stuff. There's always, like all of these things. Like there's no there's no allowing that to happen. There's less allowing that to happen than there is frustration that it happens. That stillness is missing in that moment.
Um, I had a thing I was gonna say, but I totally lost it. Um, oh, you know, to add to that, that you gosh, what was it? Just like creating, like not judging yourself, like being, like allowing doubt and being in stillness can you can get out of the like focusing on the negative moments, by just simply accepting that that's what you're doing. Because sometimes when you get low, like it's hard to see your way out. But then when you can just be with yourself and say like, hey, well, evidently I'm just gonna see the negative for a while, like that,
Yeah.
that just like rights your steering wheel.
There is nothing wrong with that. That is
Yeah.
part of, like that is what we were talking about in 27, this idea of like, what is the good if not a vision for the bad? If you're in a bad spot, the good is your vision. What is the bad if not a lesson for the good? This is a lesson for you to move towards being more you. There
Yeah.
isn't anything wrong. Like, I think that all of that quote unquote bad stuff is divinely inspired. And it is your work to either sit and sulk about it or experience it as the great offering that it is.
And when you accept it and you don't fight it, you just get in flow.
Yeah, you just get to be there. And this is now your experience. Your experience is that you're late. Okay. Well, if you stop fucking judging that shit, maybe you won't be late anymore. But
it's
you like
it's
that's your
true.
work.
It's true. You
Yeah.
judge yourself. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the problem. The problem isn't that you're late because you haven't, like you haven't forfeit your life because you're late.
Or
You haven't
experienced it
forfeit any.
yet. Like I'm
Right.
running behind, but I'm not there experiencing it yet. So the problem isn't yet here, other than just
Right.
making
And
it.
and uh,
Yeah.
and you've never experienced, like, I don't care how bad it's been for you to be late. It has never been so bad that it's worth wasting your life now on that in the future. And that's what we do. We trade.
We do trade.
Like we
Yeah.
say, okay, I'm going to pretend that everything's bad, and when I get there, everything's going to be fine, and I'm going to feel relieved. But then I will have already wasted this much time, and then I will beat myself up later because I was late, even though I wasn't beat up. And this is why he who aligns with failure will only hear failure. Even if someone says, no, it's fine.
And
What are
that
you
is
going to hear?
manifesting failure because you're
That's right.
behind, but you're spending all your energy already experiencing it in your head.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then when you don't actually experience it, you're going to think that other people are just doing it behind your back and not expressing it to you because you are so invested in failure. You're so invested in being late. He who aligns with tardiness will only be tardy.
Tardiness.
How
Oh.
it is heard is not your concern. How it is experienced is not your concern. Now this is looking at others as a master, not like you're now the one that is experiencing it, right? So how it is experienced, how it is heard is not your concern. Trust what is to be said, and everything will fall into place. Trust what is to be experienced, dear. Trust what is to be experienced. This is the moment that's being experienced. And if you become even more late because there's more red lights, if you become even more late that's okay. Where are you right now? Stop being where you're not. You know, stop being where you are. I have this weird thing. If you wanted to come back up, please do. I couldn't, like, the app is treating me poorly. I don't know why. Um, but but yeah, there's this thing. Either way, you, it how it is heard is not your concern. Trust what is to be said, and everything will fall into place. So when we can trust what is to be experienced, it will fall into place. You're going to be fine. You know, if you beat yourself up about being late, are you going to be able to be good at what you're doing later?
No.
Less likely. Are you where you're going?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. It sounds like you're
No.
inside of a stairwell.
I don't know. Maybe the connection or something?
I don't know. Are you still in your car?
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to tell you, like my car is running great, and I just passed the emissions test.
Nice. Congrats. Congrats.
Yeah,
That's always good.
1,800 bucks, like out the door, like this is a great little pickup truck.
That is really good.
my
I
my
miss the
life is so
days.
good.
Aw, that is also really good. It's really good. And you know what? We being in the habit or being in the moment of seeing those things is so important too. We
Yeah.
don't. I personally, I'll speak for myself, find myself a little reluctant at times, being like, I'm good, or things are great, or I feel good about myself, or whatever. Like to be acknowledging like the positive. It's not our normal in our culture. I don't think,
No, you
but
got to
it.
make it your normal. Because, that's the thing. Culture doesn't, like, this is the thing with culture. Just like in this 23, how it is heard is not your concern. There's stuff out there. You're interpreting it. They're interpreting what you say. You're interpreting what they say. And when we say things like, it is not normal in our culture, it lets us off the hook for doing things that we don't want to do.
But it's good to notice is what like I agree with you, and it's to be to be yourself and to be like to work toward work whatever to be centered in the things that we're speaking of here, however to say that, but it's all you can, like that's when you don't look at the outcome or the people around you, and you just, if you see somebody with something that you think is cool and you compliment them, you're not worried how they're going to take that. You just give a sincere compliment because you think it. And then if they take it well or don't, that's fine. But you're creating like a positive energy in the place around you. Like that's being authentic, like thinking something kind and saying it. And
Well, there's something different. Something that you just said, I want to just sort of address because you said thinking of something kind to say and saying it
oh,
is
not look.
different.
Okay.
Is different. And I know you probably didn't mean this, but when we start talking about these things because they are so complex and simple, because they're so simple they get really complex. I want to recognize that it's like you're not actually thinking of something to say. You
Right.
simply say something.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Now,
Yeah.
when you think of something nice to say and say it, that is not necessarily a line. When
Right.
you say something nice, or when you say something, whether it's nice or not, it and it's just coming from you, and it hasn't been thought of, and it hasn't been processed, and it hasn't been, dissected to mean anything. You just say it. Well, then that is more what we're talking about here. Now, when you process something, when you think of something to say, then you have an expectation of how it is going to be received.
Yes, I call it like I say like from through within you. You can feel it. I can feel it like that. Like that's how it feels to me when these things, when you're just being authentic in yourself. And I'm not. I mean, I rarely think before I speak to my whatever to whatever the outcome it is. I used to be so self conscious and not speak at all, and now I'm just like, well, oh well,
Yeah.
which is it's nice. It's freeing. It's a good feeling to not worry so much about it.
Yeah, and I think if you were to move that same attitude towards your being late and your in your life and just being like, hey, this is just what's happening. Like, oh, we don't have pancake mix. Okay. like, you
Mhm.
know, it's not so much about like I did something wrong or I now have to do more or anything like that. It's like, oh, well, I guess we're just going to do something else or like what is like how like trying to find a way because it's harder to do that. It's harder to like especially when you feel the responsibility that you feel, because I have no idea of the response, and I am so in awe of you and what you do, and
Thank you.
and I I mean, I called you when I had, like, nephew drop off, like, and I have, and like, it's and I should let you know that I confronted Jaden about, like, and I think I may have told you this. I asked Jaden how they identify now, you know, and they
And
are
she,
identifying feminine,
yeah.
but nobody's asking Jaden what her experience is,
Mhm. Mhm.
and so, just by asking them that, and then being able to be like, okay, well, then now, like, now it's like hope, so, like I said, what the reason that I mention that is because I respect, the amount of responsibility it is to be in the position that you find yourself in, and where time becomes such an important player in your experience.
Thank you. As you're talking, I hear, how I'm interact like my life is interwoven with other people's lives, because being a parent and all the things that I do. So it, I think that's why time can become such a. You're trying to do the right thing by others, but then even then, you're not being in alignment when you do. You just
Right.
do your best and accept and love yourself, and the rest falls into place.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you're doing great, and I'm really excited to. I'm so glad to have to have you in my life. I think that you're, like, you have contributed so much to me and my life and my experience, and I'm really grateful for that.
Thank you. Me too. Me too. It's been. It feels like it's been for always, but it's been good. It's, thank you.
Yeah. But again, we want to look at the end of this. I just want to read it over once more so you can use this today as you move into your work, as you
Conversation.
do what you do, as you move into your conversations. Remember, he who aligns with Tao will only hear Tao. He who aligns with manifestation will only hear manifestation. He who aligns with failure will only hear failure. Whatever your experience today is what you're aligning with.
Yes.
You're not a victim to any of it. You're aligning with those things. Now, anything that you say, the more you can surrender to what needs to be said at this moment, the more you can let go of any outcome. You don't have to say, I want this person to think this, I want this, but you just speak from your heart, Kelly.
Thank you. I will. I will.
How it is
I'll
heard is
remember.
not your concern. Trust what is in there. Trust what is to be said, and everything will fall into place. Even if it
I,
hurts.
having conversations with people that you don't know, the easiest way to do that, I feel, is to just listen. Don't try. Just don't try to force
Don't
it.
try.
Just,
Don't
yeah,
try.
be
Beautiful.
present, and it just comes through.
Yeah,
Thank you, Marjan.
absolutely. Thank you for coming up, and I hope you're almost there.
I am about to get here, so it's perfect timing. I appreciate you.
Okay.
Love you.
All right. Love you.
Love you. Bye.
Bye. Okay. That was Kelly. Kelly's such a great guest here on Tao of the Day. She's offered so many different, um, perspectives on the things that we talk about. I've successfully done Tao of the Day for an hour at this moment. So thank you, Dr. Rao, and thank you, Kelly. Thank you, 27 and 23, the two numbers that we covered today. If you have a number between 1 and 81 you'd like to pick before I sign off, please step up now. Going once, going twice. Someone is, Cecilia, thank you so much for coming up. I love reading the Tao with you as well.
Hey, caught you in time.
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I am well. Where do you find yourself these days? Did I lose you?
In sunny Florida.
Where sunny? Are you? Are you
Oh,
back
can
at
you
your
hear me?
place?
Oh,
Yeah, you broke up for a while.
yeah. Oh, yes, I'm with the three pups.
Nope. Boop boop boop. What's going on?
Oh, am I losing you? Oh, that's a bummer. I'm
There
walking
is.
one
There
of the
is a.
dogs right now.
Oh yeah, there's a little breaking up of the. Breaking up is hard to do.
Well, I can hear you just fine, so
Okay,
maybe
well,
I'll.
good. Well, let's continue on. So you're in Florida, and are
Mm-hmm.
you walking down to the water?
I've been at the to the beach a few times. I'm spending a lot of time with the three dogs, though.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
it's always nice to spend time with animals.
Great. Really, like every day, I just love them more and more.
Yeah, it's so like I have my cat, and she's she as she gets older, she wants to spend more and more time like with me, and
Oh,
that's really sweet, and it's been a really nice kind of arc to our relationship. So
right. Oh, sweet. Oh, so good to have them around.
it is. So do you have a number for me today?
I do. 51 popped in my head, and I was not sure if somebody picked that already because I just tuned in.
No, no. I mean, at some point
Perfect.
somebody did, I'm sure.
Right.
51 is entitled The Cycle,
Ooh,
not the bicycle. The
right.
cycle.
Yeah.
Life. Oh, I was thinking about this one this morning, so I'm really glad you picked it. Life is a gift received from Tao. It sustains all things as part of that gift. Everything emerges perfect, unconscious, and free, harmonizing with all things, completely maturing in its own time. All things exist and are nurtured through Tao. It fosters and provides for them completely. Tao does not possess or interfere, each expressing and maturing in their own nature. When their experience is complete, Tao receives them again. This is such a beautiful verse, kind of expressing and explaining how it all works.
Right. Yeah.
It's the one thing that stands out to me before I ask you, because this has been so exciting for me recently, just like because it was like rolling around in my head when I woke up this morning, this verse specifically.
Well.
Life is a gift received from Tao. So every life is a gift received from Tao, even that little poop. And every life, and there is a life to your house, there is a life to your phone, there is a life to the beach, there is a life to the trees, there is a life to the rocks. There's a life to
Every
all
little
things.
leaf.
Life is even a leaf, right? There's a life to the leaf. And every life is a gift received from Tao. So everything that exists is a life that is, and that life is a gift that Tao gives that thing. We receive that from Tao. And it sustains all things as part of that gift, meaning that I am sustained, my life is sustained as part of the gift my house received life from. Like my house has a life, and I am sustained to support and to as part of the gift of life that my house has. And the house isn't mine.
Right.
The house is just living its life. And I am being sustained to continue to have this house have the experience of life. It isn't mine. And
Right.
this is a humbling sort of thing that has really been kind of rolling around in my head recently.
Right.
It's not
And so
mine.
you're right, and you're
Yeah.
giving life to the house, and the house is giving life to you.
Right. The house's life is being sustained by Tao, not being sustained by me
Right.
as part of the gift of life that I have. And I am being sustained by Tao as part of the gift of life my house received.
Right. Oh, so
And it
beautiful.
isn't me, and it isn't it, and it isn't mine, and it isn't its. We are all here living. And everything around us is being sustained as part of that gift of life that we receive.
Right.
Such a beautiful one. What are your thoughts here? I know I'm really excited about this one because I really like this one.
And that is the cycle of
That's the
life.
cycle, right? And
Yeah.
everything follows this cycle. You know, those dogs, they're not yours.
Right.
They were given gifts of life. And each of the other dogs and the air and the ground and you are being sustained as part of the gift of life that they received.
Yeah, wow. That's so beautiful.
You know, and as this one continues, everything emerges. This is the beginning of the cycle. Everything emerges perfect, unconscious, and free, harmonizing with all things, completely maturing in its own time.
Yes. Even us.
Even us. That's right. That's right. All things. And it matures in different ways. Everything matures differently.
Right.
And
And I was
go
going to
on.
say, even like the cycles that we have in our lives, right? Like, the ups and downs, or, all of that. And it's all part of the cycle. And we tend to like try to resist the ones that we don't like, but it's all part of
Right.
it.
Yeah. And those cycles are intertwined and interwoven. And it's like once we have this idea, it's like harmonizing with all things. Maybe we harmonize with all things in a way that is resistant or whatever, but it's ultimately bringing us to a place of maturation.
Right. Beautiful.
All things exist and are nurtured through Tao. We're nurtured by the things that Tao is supporting for our life. We're nurtured through our own experience. And it fosters and provides for them completely. All things. It provides, like, it doesn't look at us as being any more important than the stone that was given, you know, that was created through whatever processes they're created, you know, like as part of the earth,
Right.
you know, like at the beginning of time. We're not any more important than that. And it is sustaining that life and it's sustaining us as part of that because that stone needs us to be able to have its experience.
Yeah, and as you're, talking and reading, I'm just looking up at these trees that have been here like way before us,
That's right.
and they look like they're reaching out to me, give me like a high five, and why wouldn't they be?
That's right. And we're here to sustain those lives, the lives of those trees. And we're here to help those trees find maturation, whatever that means. If that means they have to experience being cut down, if that means they have to experience whatever it is they need to experience in order to mature for themselves, that's part of it. And that is how Tao is fostering and providing for us. It's going to provide for us in ways that we don't have any idea how that's going to happen.
Right.
But Tao does not possess or interfere. As this continues, it says Tao does not possess or interfere. It doesn't own me, just like I don't own the house and you don't own the dogs. And we don't interfere. We allow the house to be the house. And when I'm inspired to do work on the house, I am doing that as part of my relationship to the house and my inspiration through Tao. Each, both the house and myself, and you and the dogs, and you and the trees, expressing and maturing in their own nature. The way the dogs need to mature, guess how they're going to do it? They're not going to do it the way you want. They're going to do it the way they need to.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm just soaking that all in.
Yeah. And this goes back to like the trees and the house and the you and the me and the dogs. When their experience is complete, Tao receives them again. Listen to that bird.
Yeah. That's, that last sentence. I have a friend that I went through this like coaching program with. I may have shared the story before, but she was like really doing some like inner work, and she caught COVID, and she was so grateful for COVID because she was like, well, I'm being told to, relax. I've been working so much, and so she decided she was going to go on this vacation with um, this gentleman that she had known for years, and he just like professed his like love to her, and that he's loved her
Mm,
all of this time, and
mm,
they were just starting to talk about getting married and stuff. And on the way back from their vacation together, they got into a car accident, and they both made their transition together. And
mm.
I thought that was so freaking amazing. They graduated
Yeah.
together,
When
you
their
know.
experience is complete.
Yes,
Yeah. And that's the
it's
thing. We're
goosebumps.
always afraid of dying, but trust me, you're not going to do it early.
Right,
Even if you commit suicide,
right,
it's okay. You're good. Like if
right,
you can get there, like you when your experience is complete, Tao receives them again. And such a beautiful story. And that's the, you know, that's one of the few things, like when you love somebody and you die together, that's like really the only way that a relationship doesn't end.
right. Yeah, and I thought about, wow, they neither of them had to go through the pain of being without the other, like how that might have affected them. Like they went together. Like
It's so
that is
beautiful.
amazing,
Yeah.
you know. So,
That's a gift.
right,
And that's part of that's and they're still part of the cycle.
right,
Now they're with Tao, and they will have another experience, and they will be, they are back to one.
yeah,
How beautiful.
yeah. Well, thank you. Is that the end?
That is the end.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm so glad it hit
Absolutely.
51.
Yes.
Well, enjoy your Thursday, and I'll speak to
Will
you
do.
soon. Love you.
All right. Love you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Oh, what a great couple of guests today. Beautiful, beautiful day of Tao of the Day. Um, Thank you so much for joining me for Tao of the Day. This is Martin John, and I'm always here to present the Tao Te Ching. I always ask for people to come up and pick a number between 1 and 81. That is because there are 81 verses in the Tao. And when you pick a number, you get to dive into something that can help us make our lives a little bit more reasonable. And I really appreciate Cecilia coming up and sharing that story, as well as sharing 51, because um, I was thinking about this one, and so that was very much something that I really wanted to read through and kind of go through. And it's been something that's really exciting for me right now. This idea that we don't possess, right? We don't possess or we don't own, as we were talking about with Kelly's, right? Like Tao doesn't possess or interfere. Or was that in this one? It's in this one. Like Tao does not possess or interfere, and when we cannot possess and interfere in our relationships, when we cannot possess or interfere in our in the work of Tao through us, then we can just surrender to this moment and be here, and be whole. Thank you so much for joining me. If you appreciate the work I do here on Tao of the Day or on Wisdom, you can send me a tip over on Venmo at @martinjohn_Garcia. Otherwise, you can check out my Recover Yourself workshop on my website, martinjohn.com. You can check out all the stuff that I do through Instagram and my bio here on Wisdom. And yeah, until next time, keep recovering yourself.